Part 19. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 181. To achieve this goal, there must be a lot of food consumption. 300,000 grains and 5,000 grain output are the most conservative estimates. The entire fiefdom does not have so many reserves, and to complete it, it needs to seek imports. The Dark Swamp is a region rich in food. Although it is Niisel's home base, merchants will not refuse business that comes to them. In the end, the food issue was handed over to Shattered Void, with a purchase budget of about 50,000 gold, 0.16 gold/unit, which is the standard price in surrounding areas. Then let's discuss the third thing. Shen Xian was still unhurried. The third thing is relevant to everyone. Everyone knows that the territory will soon upgrade the town center. After the upgrade is completed, everyone will have the opportunity to enter the fourth stage of the territory. Everyone also knows that there are only so many resources, and it is impossible for everyone. It's the mayor. So what I want to say is that players who are not good at construction and development can seek a new game path and consider their own position in the game. This will give players who persist in development some room for survival. This is not a mandatory rule, and it may harm the player's fun, but due to his status, he must play the role of such a maker. Now there are two positions needed in the territory. The first one is the president of the Mercenary Guild. Twilight Town is officially a gathering point for underground adventurers, entrusting and issuing various tasks. As the president, this is a position that is superior to professional unions. In this position, he needs to face countless questions from players and NPCs, and needs rich management experience. The second one, the president of the Dusk Chamber of Commerce, is responsible for all external affairs except black market trade and internal trade. His main responsibility is to maintain the stability of the three trade routes, open up new trade routes, and bring gold to the fiefdom. At the same time, I need to elect a town mayor. His goal is to build a production town at the giant mithril mine in the south. The development goal of this town is a population of 3,000 and an army of 500. Provide 2,000 units/day for the territory mithril above. In fiefdoms, there are not many territories suitable for upgrading to town centers. Under the deliberate arrangement of the system, the birth point will never be an option for building a large city. After speaking, he added, in addition, about 10 players are needed to take on the scattered responsibilities of the guild to assist the development of the Mercenary Guild, the Dusk Chamber of Commerce, and the Temple. In this way, nearly 20 players soon stood up. On the surface, these positions may not seem as exciting as being a lord, but in fact, they all have considerable power. Taking the president of the Chamber of Commerce as an example, the trade volume of the three trade routes is close to 1 million, and the net profit is more than half. As long as he can open up a few more trade routes, as the president of the Chamber of Commerce, he can earn tens of thousands of gold. As long as you are willing to exchange it for reality, this is a huge amount of wealth. Although it is impossible to exchange it in this way, the president of the Chamber of Commerce is indeed a very lucrative position. So, many players saw this and spent 30 minutes competing to finalize the list of positions. The number of players who can serve as lords in the territory suddenly decreased a lot, and many small lords turned into large lords with territories. After the power was divided, the structure of the entire territory took on a new look. The meeting was long and finally ended after rounds of disputes. Several lords were busy dealing with the transfer of power, while the rest began to hoard resources to prepare for new developments. After the renovation, the hall in the center of the village looked magnificent. After stretching his body, Shen Xian saw Miss Xiao running in. By the way, he called Miss Xiao, I've been online these past few days, but I'm not sure about the next few days. What's wrong? Miss Xiao was very concerned. Is there anything wrong with you? No, there is a mission. Do you still remember what Ryan whispered to me at the beginning, right? Yes, What did you say? What is there to hide in such a secret? Miss Yao's curiosity was aroused when she heard the mention of this matter, and she blamed this guy for being secretive. Regarding the hell trial, next I need to go to hell to level up with Dabake. When I reach level 60, I can start the second transformation. I am still relatively weak now. Is that so? So all the affairs of the territory are left to me. Well, you won't do anything bad, right? How is that possible? Miss Yao was particularly dissatisfied with his distrustful look. How about you let me exchange places with Dabake? It seems that you trust her more. You must be jealous. Miss Yao blushed after hearing Shen Xian's straightforward statement, but because hell is not popular with outside forces, a profession like erudite must be at least level 90 to be free in hell. Move around. After learning this information, Miss Yao was disappointed. Well, I'm in trouble. For the sake of you telling me this matter, I will help you. But what's good about hell? Are there many benefits there? She was still a little confused. The experience gain rate in hell is 200%, and the attributes are reduced by 15%. After death, you will not be subject to the death penalty of the Lord but will become a modified adventurer penalty, lower the level by 2, and be reborn inside the city after 5 minutes. Leveling up in hell is very fast, and after reaching a certain level, you can bring companions with you. One more thing, I need to communicate with Lord Sharuk. This will be beneficial to development and should last for 15 days. Oh, Miss Yao nodded, thinking to herself that she didn't know when her hidden mission would be completed. She needed to reach level 70, after the second turn, so that she could get the next step of the hidden mission. However, she didn't feel any trouble in her heart, as if she was willing to do such a thing. How does this feel? Could it be that you have become like a housewife and do everything? Thinking of this, she sighed secretly, comforting herself that this was because she was considering the development of the Mage Tower, so she was compromising, and it definitely had nothing to do with anyone. She also thought that it was time to ask her father about her relationship with Shen Xian. After all, growing up, few people came to her home until she went to school and met her classmates. What kind of relationship did Shen Xian rely on to get in? Could it be the legendary child bride? Miss Yao felt chills at the thought of this, but she felt that Shen Xian was easy to talk to, so maybe she could make him give up by saying to him that I only treat you as a brother. Although this statement the authenticity is very slim, but we need to prepare in advance, right? But the truth is definitely not that simple. Miss Yao promised, okay, then I agree. Shen Xian also said, actually, you don't need to worry. There are no strong players around. The WTP Masters are far away from you. A new round of rankings will be held in November. Then you can know the gap between you and them. WTP ranking, when it comes to the topic that Miss Yao is interested in, she will definitely become very wordy. What's going on? It's nothing, it's mainly a comprehensive assessment of the strength of billions of players in the world. Shen Xian looked indifferent. Online game DungeonMaster. Author, Buletin Lao Buletin Si Buletin Me. Chapter 182. In the fall, Miss Yao, who was supposed to continue her studies at university, gave up her right to further her studies and devoted herself to kingdom. This was the result of her careful consideration. Online games are like another world, and the achievements made in this world will also be recognized by others. In this era, online games are no longer as pure as they were hundreds of years ago. No one can develop an online game that eliminates cash transactions or is not affected by external forces. Laws and morals can play a certain role in constraints, but they cannot be fundamentally eliminated. Trillions of liquid funds have been accumulated in online games for many years. With the development of the times, human beings spend more and more on spiritual entertainment, and this amount of money will continue to grow, reaching 10 trillion or even 100 trillion. Most forces are concerned about the whereabouts of this money, hoping to put this money into their own pockets. The government hopes to stop this phenomenon, but in the face of the general trend or under the oppression of the 9 major banks, small countries are simply powerless. In the face of the tide of global economic integration, small countries are subject to too many constraints, and too many material supplies are restricted by other countries, so this has gradually become an unstoppable trend. The biggest impact of this trend is on high-end players. Low-end players do not suffer much loss because they spend less or even zero money in online games. At most, their loyal NPCs are replaced by players, which has little impact. High-end players are divided into 2 categories, those who pursue extreme entertainment and those who pursue the highest interests. Money cannot buy happiness, but in past online games, we can see that RMB warriors can enjoy happiness in online games through money. This is a relative relationship. As their power in online games gradually grows, their influence in reality gradually decreases. Although many low-end players do not understand this approach, as long as you compare a sports car that costs millions and a manor that costs at least tens of millions, you can see that the potential for investment in online games is huge. In the past, online games were generally civilian entertainment and had nothing to do with elegant art, which led to fewer wealthy people willing to pay. However, with the official name of online games and the introduction of the real name system, the online game environment has been greatly improved, causing many wealthy people to start to get involved in online games. These players who pursue the highest interests usurp wealth from entertainment players, and game studios are a typical example. However, there is another category of guilds and studios run by large groups, which gather the world's most elite online game talents and have a strong printing money ability, which can plunder amazing wealth in huge online games. Miss Xiao once thought about whether it was necessary to establish such a force in the game. She has been thinking about it these days, while familiarizing herself with the management of the territory, and quietly preparing for the 4th stage of the Mage Tower, the Mentor Tower. This is a peaceful day, but it is a few months in the game. The territory has ushered in a rapid development stage. The population quickly broke through 60,000 after the capture of the Sicily Alliance and reached 80,000, and the trade volume also climbed from more than 100,000 after the auction to more than 500,000. As a rich girl, when Miss Xiao decided to accomplish something, the role played by the forces behind her was huge, with uninterrupted investment, and the liquidity grew like a snowball to 6 million, 7 million, and even 8 million. At this time, the cost of research and development technology became quite high. Level 5 of construction engineering required 30,000 gold, and level 6 required 80,000 gold. However, when the money-making machine of trade was started, even such rapid consumption could be supported. As of September 23, the territory invested 1.5 million and upgraded most of the technologies to level 6. There was also progress in trade. For hundreds of thousands of residents in the silent wasteland, this was a season with abundant supplies. Thanks to the alliance with Alan Village, the chances of caravans entering the silent wasteland being attacked by bandits were much smaller, which also allowed this well-known dwarf village to supply a large amount of supplies at a lower price than Black Iron Town. The influence of Alan Village was growing day by day, and the rulers of Black Iron Town were panicked, but they could not think of any effective way to deal with it. However, a cold wave that affected the north in the past few days caused the territory to lose more than 400,000. This cold wave came from the anger of the ice and snow goddess, which was caused by the birth of a legendary item in the surface world. The underground world was just a fire in the city gate that affected the fish in the pond. The icy snowstorm destroyed a large amount of farmland, froze countless civilians to death, and the monsters were also the cause of the loss. However, the tasks decided at the meeting were not affected. When the town center was upgraded, the construction of the small fortress was also nearing completion. The construction of the Mercenary Guild and the Chamber of Commerce started immediately, and the work of the southern town needed to be postponed. The town center was completed, and the changes in the territory were difficult to describe in words. The whole Dusk Town gave people a completely different feeling, and the layers of passages and bridges also had the characteristics of a dungeon. September 24, 9 a.m. Shen Xian and Yan Yao arrived at the dean's office of the Spell Academy, and Ryan waited for a long time. Still with a gloomy look, "Haha, you came just in time, are you ready for the hell trial?" Both of them nodded. "Okay, let's go find Calicos first," the dean said in a whining voice, thinking that he shouldn't have taken on this task in the first place, which made him so headache now. How can a great wizard who enslaves demons open the gates of hell? This is clearly what Calicos, the leader of the Ebon Blade Knights, should do, but the dean is ashamed to tell the original reason. In fact, it is also very simple, just to be able to see Mr. Erlin a few more times, so that he can fulfill his duties as a mentor. As a result, the number of meetings did not increase much, but the Lord, who had nothing to do with him, always jumped in front of him. According to Ryan's idea, doesn't the old man Calicos like the Lord? Even his daughter took the initiative to stick to him, so how could he agree to help open the gates of hell? He thought to himself, and used the teleportation array in the teleportation room of the Spell Academy to take the two to the office of the leader of the Ebon Blade Knights. When he saw Calicos, he expressed this idea. "No problem, old friend, isn't it just opening the gate of hell? But you will be responsible for the tribute of the devil's gold and soul." Calicos agreed verbally, but he didn't do it as a volunteer, because the relationship between the contract and the special spatial laws of the underground world makes it easy to connect to hell, but the cost of opening the gate of hell is not always affordable. This made Ryan look dead, but he reluctantly agreed, because the Lord is the master of Mist Erlin. The two of them just made clear their responsibilities by arguing with each other. As for Yan Yao, her identity is quite special. She is a player directly under the Desolate City and is completely treated as internal training. They need to open a one-way portal, which leads to hell. Through the spatial coordinates of the Devil Lord who swore allegiance at the beginning, they will appear in that world in the form of half-souls, and their normal actions will not be affected. They can drink water, eat, and even have sex, but their attributes will be reduced by 15%. The meaning of one way is that only recognized units can pass through, and the devils of hell cannot come to the main material world through this portal. They can use the portal once every 12 hours, so they can use it to resupply. Calicos opened a small part, and he could even directly open the plane channel when he arrived at the Fallen Temple, so that tens of thousands of people could be easily transported to hell to undergo cruel tests. The Gate of Hell is a way to quickly cultivate strength. The highest player on the level ranking is the world's #1 level 70 player, who went to the Abyss trial. This is a place where you can die at any time. You have to face battles day and night. There is no safe zone. This is a bloody battle, and only real players can survive. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Buledin Lau Buledin Si Buledin Me. Chapter 183. Carrying, the relevant attributes are strength and size. The higher the strength, the more units of items a player can carry, and the same is true for size. With Shen Xian's current strength of more than 1000 points, he can carry 220 units of stone at a time. The goal is 10,000, and a total of 46 times of carrying is required. Even such a simple task has some tricks. First, you can remove the weapon, because the Azure Sky Defender will not increase strength, and you can get an extra 40 units of space. Second, you can let Yan Yao apply several special blessings to increase the current strength and movement speed. The third is to buy a 400 gold map of the Dark Dragon City, find the shortest route from the map, save travel, and you can easily complete the task. It took 46 minutes and 53 seconds, and the efficiency was increased by 93%. Shen Xian got the experience required to upgrade to level 60. At level 60, you can start the second transfer task. What is the transfer of the Shield Knight? Go the defense route or something else. Lord, level 60, Shield Knight, HP 26,350, Fighting Spirit 6,430, Attack 1,670, Defense 1,120. Strength 1,230, Agility 756, Constitution 2,635, Wisdom 302, Spirit 676, Charm 25, Luck 10. Shen Xian guessed and came to Yan Yao. Yan Yao was a little surprised at Shen Xian's efficiency. So fast. So fast, Shen Xian replied. Then what should we do next? How about I tell you about the Dark Dragon City first? The two ran into a corner of a tavern and sat down. They all put efficiency first and discussed the specific plan straight to the point. From Yan Yao, I learned that the surrounding area of the Dark Dragon City was in chaos. In hell, there was no peace. You only needed to go out of the city to kill monsters and level up. Yan Yao had already figured out the surrounding monsters and their distribution. In the east, there were level 30 confused demons and level 33 little devils. In the southwest, there were level 55 devils and level 68 corrupted wing servants. North, level 70 exiled shadow dragon. At first glance, the southwest seems to be the best leveling point, but leveling and quests have been linked for decades. What are the quests outside the city? Yan Yao immediately listed the quests she collected. Quest, Trader's Doom, Loop, kill one exiled shadow dragon, reward experience 30,000, reputation 5, contribution 2,500. This quest is very rewarding, but the shadow dragon is elite, level 75 has at least 60,000 health, 5,000 attack power, 800 defense power, and more. On the contrary, the quests at the leveling points in the early 30s are extremely cost-effective. Quest, Stronghold 1, Continuous, escort the engineering team of Dark Dragon City to build a small fortress with 1,000 troops in the Shock Rift in the southwest of Dark Dragon City, reward experience 350,000, reputation 100, contribution 6,000. The most eye-catching thing about this reward is the contribution. 6,000 contributions are enough to exchange for a lot of supplies, but the task is not easy to do. This is a team task and requires 5 members to start. With Yan Yao, the problem no longer exists. The beauty effect is valid even in hell. Which race doesn't love beautiful women? So the recruitment order was issued in the tavern and the manpower was gathered in less than 10 minutes. The two NPCs, Victor the Fallen Demon and Frank the Terror Knight, are respectively responsible for the remote control and attack output, level 48 and level 54. Another dwarf barbarian warrior Odin is a player, level 68, and is known as the top master in Northern Europe. Odin, why are you here? Are there many dwarves who believe in Sherlock? Lord? Oh, that's not the case. I just want to be a dragon knight. Earl Sherlock will give his most capable subordinate the Shadow Dragon mount. Although it is a very perverted task, I don't care for this cool mount. After hearing his words, Shen Xian had to be speechless. After the 5 people gathered, they accepted the task. The 30-man engineering team was waiting for them at the southwest gate of Dragon City. The engineering team was composed of 30 huge hell devourers, level 40, with disgusting and abstract appearances, and huge mouths that could swallow more than a dozen fallen demons without digesting them. The purpose was to release hundreds of demons at the designated location for construction. The engineering team began to move forward, along the fragmented land. The area within 10 kilometers of Longcheng was very safe, and they would not encounter a few demons for a few minutes. However, After walking for 15 minutes, when they left this area, the surrounding threats were approaching step by step. A squadron of fallen demons appeared in the east. 2 squadrons of small demons appeared in the south. Shen Xian became serious when he found that the surroundings were not as safe as he imagined. 100 demons blocked the engineering team, and the battle began. Hell is a country with strict hierarchy. When the evil aura was released, these demons immediately showed timidity. Shen Xian could kill the level 30 unit with 2 swords. In less than 5 minutes, they got rid of the attack and continued to rush towards the shock rift. In the next 30 minutes, they were surrounded more and more often. The level 30 demons were weak and could not be eliminated indefinitely. The player's energy was limited, and fighting for several hours was a great test for them. Odin didn't care. The title of the best player in the Nordic countries was not boasted. Although his APM was not as good as that of the top players, in terms of endurance, this guy could last more than 10 hours. If the surrounding terrain is advantageous, Shen Xian can continue to eliminate them all. Even if the level 30 unit will suffer experience penalties due to the level difference, in the face of numbers, especially in front of a well-coordinated team, the more enemies, the more excited they will be. However, Shen Xian analyzed that before reaching the scheduled location of Shock Rift, the empty battlefield would only cause a large number of deaths of Hell Devourers and lead to failure, so he gave up the opportunity to fight a bloody battle with the devil and finally chose to take a detour. He believed that the scheduled location of Shock Rift must be an area conducive to defense. There is no essential difference between units killed by defense and units killed in the wild. The number of enemies eliminated by defense here will be far greater than those eliminated in the wild. Weighing it up will know which one is more cost-effective. At present, it is most important to hurry on the road. Shen Xian looked at the map column and immediately outlined a new route. It took 20 minutes to enter the shock fissure. The scene here changed suddenly. There were rock bodies suspended in the air everywhere. The big ones were hundreds of kilometers long, and the small ones were tens of meters long. They were connected by bridges or teleportation arrays. The physical laws here were very strange. The gravity was very small. You could easily jump tens of meters, as if you were in space. This was also a sign of danger. I didn't know when the earth under my feet would forget me and throw me into the endless void. Where would I continue to fall? This was a question that even gods would be puzzled about. We took a remote route, and the number of enemies we encountered along the way was reduced by half. The team had enough time to rest and fight. Through cooperation, the sense of trust gradually increased. It took another 10 minutes for the engineering team to reach the designated location. The difficulty of the ordinary level was indeed impossible to fail, but the difficulty of the next step would gradually increase. Online game DungeonMaster. Author, Bulletin Lau Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 184. After arriving at the designated location, Shen Xian and Yan Yao recovered, and the Hell Devourer released the confused demon. Nearly 200 skinny demons immediately appeared in the small space. 200 demons brought 5,000 units of resources, which were far from enough to build a small fortress, so the first step was not to build, but to collect surrounding resources. The broken landforms of hell made stones everywhere. In 10 minutes, 5,000 more units of stone appeared at the designated location. The second step was to build 10 warehouses. With the cooperation of 200 demons, this speed was dazzling. 1 hour later, the lost lives were restored, and Shen Xian became lively again. At this time, the surface of the fortress was opened up, the prototype of the city wall was built, and 1 or 2 of the 10 military buildings were completed, and the fortress began to take shape. The authority of the second task was opened base 2, continuous, assist the engineering team to complete the small fortress, destroy 5 terrains, move 30,000 units of resources, reward experience 200,000, reputation 150, contribution 3,000. The reward for the second step is obviously not as generous as the first step, but considering that this is a peaceful task, the reward is still quite generous. Full health, but the consumed fighting spirit and magic have not been fully restored. Shen Xian decided to use this time. He and Odin's strength is over 1000, which is suitable for carrying. More importantly, Odin's barbarian profession has the talent of being stronger when facing strong forces. As long as the attributes of the surrounding units are higher than his, he can get attribute bonuses. This talent allows the short-legged wooden stakes to have a speed comparable to that of elves, and they can move without slowing down even if they carry hundreds of units. The part of destroying the terrain is completed by Victor and Frank. The small fortress needs to destroy 3 stone pillars with 50,000 health points and 2 rocks with 30,000 health points. Simply put, it is an attack, or the simplest one, without running and changing, using heavy weapons that have damage bonuses to buildings. Because of work, Yan Yao is offline. The task took 52 minutes and 12 seconds to complete. Because the fortress is in the shape of a bunker, there are not many walls used for protection, and the completion speed is also faster. The second step is completed. The difficulty of the Stronghold 3 has been raised. Stronghold 3, continuous, after 15 minutes, resist the attack of the fallen Lord Ansiudala, a total of 5 waves of attack, 3,000 troops. Reward experience 1.5 million, reputation 200, contribution 8,000. Most players will be frightened by the 3,000 numbers when they see this task, but in fact they are not as powerful as imagined. Based on the fact that the system will never give impossible tasks, there must be tricks for impossible tasks, so Shen Xian still took this task. Tips: the 120 level Dark Warlord will arrive in 5 minutes and will not participate in the battle. What's going on? If you don't participate in the battle, it will be very troublesome to lose such a shadow dragon, Odin said in a rough voice. Also, Lord, why is your woman not online? At this time, the whole team will collapse without a healing profession. What are you doing? Shen Xian had no choice. He didn't necessarily ask the senior sister to go online. He was not related to the senior sister and could not interfere with her freedom, so he could only say sorry. Dabake is not a professional player. She is probably working now. Can't she take a leave? I think her level is okay and can improve the team's strength, Odin muttered. As the first god of war in Northern Europe, Odin has a very hot temper, but he is qualified to criticize people. He once did not log off for 5 days and 5 nights to fight against thousands of NPC legions. He once assassinated more than a dozen heroes in the NPC main city and finally escaped the pursuit without dying. He respects the great man Shen Xian. This is what is called mutual appreciation. It is not always the same for everyone. Let everyone in the world have the virtues of honesty, kindness, and humility. If this can be done, it is estimated that a legendary ideal country will be born. With a light cough, Odin, don't you think we should talk about how to face this challenge first? 3,000 troops, are you not afraid? No, he told the truth, because he and Shen Xian enjoyed different treatments, and the punishment for death was smaller, so naturally he did not have as many concerns as Shen Xian. Victor, Frank, what are you doing? You look bad. Shen Xian noticed that the 2 devils were not right and asked in Hell language. This. They walked over. At this time, if you look up, you will find that there are dozens of nearly 100-meter-long dragons flying across the sky in the shattered hell, and even shrill sounds can be heard from far away from time to time. Did you hear the dragon roar? The 2 asked. Dragon roar? Do you mean the Dark Warlord? They nodded. We remembered a bad tradition of hell. I am afraid we are facing a major crisis. This is probably a game between the 2 great lords, and we are the chess pieces in this game, and we are cannon fodder. After Frank finished speaking, he pointed to the shadow dragon in the sky. Those dark warlords are not here to assist us. As long as they don't fight seriously and want to escape, they will be eliminated immediately. Are there no loopholes? If we encounter an elite army, we can only sit and wait for death, Odin asked immediately. Maybe, but there are too few loopholes to find, they answered. What if you find it? Shen Xian asked immediately. Everything. You will get everything you want. But we heard that this kind of thing only happens once every few hundred years. Ignoring the second sentence the two said, Odin shouted, so good. Maybe we can take this opportunity to get the Shadow Dragon. But it's not that easy. But the system will never give a mission that requires death. We need to challenge it. Don't you feel excited? Isn't this the legendary mythical level of difficulty? Legend has it that there is a deified level above the elite and heroic levels. Completing such tasks will even directly lead to changes in WTP. However, Shen Xian has always been doubtful. Is there really a deified level? He is a pragmatic person. Since you can't get away, let's challenge it. No one wants to die. Then be careful. Just kill a few hundred units and upgrade a few levels. This way, you won't be broken after rebirth, Ben, isn't it? He looked at Victor and Frank, who looked confused, and then remembered that the NPC couldn't understand these block sentences. Online game DungeonMaster. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 185. This is an arena with a long history, built deep in the lava. Hundreds of meters high relief rock pillars are interspersed in the flowing hot torrent, guarded by the great devil of the demigod level day and night. Count Cherik and Count Kapilov walked into the arena hand in hand, which made them feel extremely honored. This place was once the pleasure place of Lord Valhalla, the ruler of the 9th floor. Perhaps it was not called Valhalla but Missisillin. Everyone knows that the devil never tells others his real name. It took Count Cherik thousands of years to become the ruler of the Shadow Dragon. As a creature ruled by the 9th floor, he has the power and authority that the Holy Spirit dragons in the heavens desire. He has an elegant figure and profound knowledge. He is a real noble. The game between nobles will never be a barbaric fight. They advocate the competition of wisdom. In order to fight against the abyss, they cannot fight day and night, and choose a more civilized way such as chess. In front of him was a huge chessboard, several kilometers long. Through the chessboard, one could see a vast space, several hundred kilometers long and wide, divided into 64 pieces, 8 in length and 8 in width, with tens of thousands of troops distributed. Each army was symbolized by a rock chess piece infused with energy, representing the 6 types of king, queen, rook, elephant, horse, and soldier. A total of 16 chess pieces were on one side, moving and attacking according to the rules. As the mental power of the two lords invaded the world of the chessboard, the rock chess piece floated into the air. This was an interesting gamble, concerning the number of troops that both sides would send in the next war between Cherik and Count Kapilov. Kapilov twisted his body lazily, and his mental power swept across the entire space. Driven by a great force, the small fortress suspended in the air and the huge rock supporting it were pushed to a battlefield not far away. The 2 chess pieces representing soldiers controlled 10,000 troops, 50 small fortresses, and 50 rocks several kilometers in size collided with each other. This is a spectacular scene. 50 mountain-like rocks are either torn out of the ground or break free from the chains and leave the predetermined positions to form a square formation to fight against each other. Accompanied by the terrifying sound of the little devil's cry, the fragile rocks are pushed by this force and collapse into fragments of the void before they collide with the rocks on the opposite side. Those solid rocks also become magma rolling after the collision, and fall from the sky, like a doomsday scene. When Shen Xian saw this scene, he was really stunned, because this kind of extraordinary power only exists in hell. Mortals cannot fight against gods or demons, because hell is a world beyond the main material plane. For the first 30 minutes, I admired the magnificent war from a distance. Soldiers are so insignificant. In a war between 160,000 troops and 160,000 troops, a soldier of 10,000 troops can be abandoned at any time. The position under his feet is the soldier. There are 49 similar fortresses around, imprisoning 10,000 demons, arranged in a complex three-dimensional square in the air, and there is a possibility of fighting at any time. When chess pieces meet, both sides must fight a bloody battle until the winner is determined. Although he didn't know that he would be led to such a thing when he received this task, Shen Xian is still planning with Odin how to get the most benefits in this war. Kapalafi takes the first move, the soldier moves, and one round lasts 30 minutes. This is the result of Frank's observation from a distance. Does it mean that we have 30 minutes to consider? In this case, Odin, do you want to try to control these confused demons? If you obey the command, you may have a better chance of winning. Shen Xian's words make sense. Odin tried it and found that these demons really obeyed their orders, so he and Shen Xian each led 100 troops and were ready to fight at any time. Odin and he had similar command levels. In this case, one person could not take care of everything, but two people could control more units than one person, and their role was more obvious than that of one person. By checking the properties of the confused demons, he found out that these level 30 demons had level 2 swearing and chaos spells, and their combat effectiveness was weaker than that of humans of the same level, but they were only strengthened in terms of control. Relying on this army to win was nothing short of a pipe dream, but in this case, he had no choice. After becoming familiar with the fighting style of the confused demons, he learned about the properties of the Hell Devourers. They were additional troops with the ability to devour, and could swallow 5 demons into their bodies and digest them slowly, as long as they wanted. Then, the two returned to the topic and summarized the tactics that needed to be clarified. First, try to control the armies of other fortresses, whether they were enemy or Sherlocks. The more armies they controlled, the greater their chances of winning the final victory. Second, try to contact other players. In such places, the probability of players appearing is not high, but as long as there are, they can use methods beyond the rules of the game to negotiate and solve them. Third, you can choose to betray when you have no other choice. In hell, betrayal is as normal as eating. As long as there is a devil willing to protect you, the original contract is equivalent to waste paper. Shen Xian found that the defense provided by this small fortress was very weak. If you stay in the fortress and passively defend, you may even be crushed or burned to death by rocks and lava. Therefore, he decided to adopt an offensive tactic. Sometimes, missions are foresighted. Judging from the 3,000 troops given by the target, they will be attacked by 15 fortresses, so it is necessary to prepare for a protracted war. The two devils were paying attention to the distant battlefield. More than a dozen fortresses had been occupied, and several fortresses that had mutinied were silenced by the dark warlords hovering in the air. In this not-so-open aerial terrain, the casualties on both sides were not great. 30 minutes later, the winner was decided. Kapilov successfully eliminated Sherlock's soldiers and gained the advantage in this chess game. Count Sherlock's attack followed one after another. He controlled the army of the symbolic soldier to attack Kapilov's soldiers. This was a lopsided battle, because the soldier was attacked just after being freed from the battle. Therefore, the final winner was decided in 10 minutes. Here at Shenzhen, they lived a life of misery. They knew it was a life and death battle, but they had to fight hard for their level and equipment. They looked forward to becoming the chosen one to fight for glory, but they were worried about their future fate because of their lack of strength. The time pointed to 5 o'clock in the evening. When Shen Xian counted the potions, scrolls, and magic items he had for the third time, the battle finally began. A chess piece symbolizing a horse, carrying 10,000 level 60 hellhounds, flew here across a distance of 150 kilometers. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lau Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 186. Level 60 Hellhounds, descendants of the demigod Siberia who is said to guard the gates of hell, have bodies as big as hills and 3 dragon-like heads. They are extremely famous and terrifying creatures in hell. Their master, Count Kapilov, happens to be one of them. Level 60 Hellhounds are a popular summoned beast in the magic world. Apprentices are proud to summon hellhounds, but when they really appear in groups, it is no less than encountering a violent wolf pack in winter. This is a group of headache enemies. Their bodies are accompanied by a magic flame aura that can cause 74 damage/second. Their claws and teeth can cause plague and poison. They can also use a series of middle and high-level class spells such as Hellfire, Mana Exhaustion, Aging, Fear, etc. Their health value is also in the middle and high level among ordinary units, reaching 17,000, and their attack power is 1,700, which can beat and tear the devils apart. When such a group of enemies charge in an orderly manner, the whole earth will tremble and shake. The weak fallen demons and confused demons immediately gave up resistance and chose to surrender and live in the face of death. It must be said that Count Kapilov is also famous in the 9th layer of hell, with extraordinary power and the ability to control the world. When this rock appeared in front of Shenxian, the entire field of vision was occupied by this black behemoth, producing a feeling of powerlessness and suffocation. Looking up, you will find that there are 10 medium-sized fortresses built on the rocks of dozens of kilometers, and 100 hellhounds are stationed in a medium-sized fortress. When the chess piece symbolizing the horse touches the soldier, the first few fortresses lose resistance within a few minutes. This is the gap. The fortress like an asteroid then approached Shenxian, just like an ogre and a dwarf wrestling. The two are not of the same order of magnitude. The solace of the feet shook at first, and then the built wall collapsed in half, and the rock of hundreds of meters in length was broken into 2 pieces. Hundreds of hellhounds rushed out of the fortress and rushed straight to the confused demon. Confused demons are naturally not interested in war. In their words, they are wise men, not reckless men. The hellhounds don't care. What they know is that confused demons are delicious snacks that can be tasted by just opening their mouths. The hellhound's teeth can cause 400 damage to confused demons. They are too small and will cause damage penalties, but they only need 3 attacks to eat them. When the hellhound attacked the confused demons, Shenxian and Odin issued an attack order. They stood on the front line, not because they wanted to, but because they really had no output. Even a purely defensive profession like Shenxian needs to be used as an attack output, so you can imagine how bad the situation is. However, in general, Shenxian still persisted for a long time with his extremely high defense. The hellhound's attack hit him and caused a maximum of 300 damage. With his more than 20,000 health points, he could persist for more than 10 minutes. At this time, the advantage of his and Odin's division of labor and cooperation was reflected. The interval release of the confusion magic was controlled at an accurate interval of 30 seconds. This kind of turn control command has extremely high APM requirements and is usually only seen among experts. However, this high-tech operation has obvious effects. 4 or 5 huge hellhounds in the center of the battle formation were immediately affected. They made strange howls and turned around to attack. 1,000 damage was dealt at once, and 3 or 4 of their kind were dragged down in an instant. Not only that, the 30-meter casting distance just blocked the channel for the hellhounds to emerge, saving them a lot of time. The hellhounds would never understand why the confusion magic, which usually likes to release chaos magic on the same target, changed its nature and knew that everyone would identify a target and release it simultaneously. These two methods seem to be the same, but you must know that spells have anti-magic settings when the same spell is released excessively on the same target, the target will have a short-term immunity to this spell. Therefore, in the same two ways, the former can only control one unit, while the latter can control dozens of units. This was once a super kill level operation in the esports world, which could instantly reverse the situation. Although it is extremely difficult to achieve this operation in Realm, with the cooperation of Odin, Victor, and Frank, it is no problem for Shen Xian. This operation is simply like this: Victor, as an elite level fallen demon, has almost unlimited mana to squander. According to Shen Xian's requirements, he randomly selects targets from the Hellhounds in the center of the battle formation and casts the level 1 mark skill. The consumption of the level 1 spell can be ignored, but it can leave a distinct devil mark on the head of the Hellhound. The duration of the spell is 6 seconds. As long as there are 2 marks on the battlefield, the confused demons can identify their current and future targets. More than 30 Hellhounds fell in the next 20 minutes, but none of the creatures in Hell had low AI. This group of cunning enemies found the key. While dispersing their formation to weaken the negative effects of chaos magic, they all rushed to the place where the confused magic was dense. Even if there was chaos, they were not afraid of hurting their own kind. At this time, 15 minutes had passed, and there was still no news of the fallen Lord Ansiudala. Meeting room on the 32nd floor of the Asia-Pacific headquarters of Rox Group. Yan Yao stood up, looked around with a smile, and said, "Today's meeting is over. Dismissed." After saying this, people left here in 2s and 3s, and she turned around and walked out of the meeting room. A beautiful woman always has suitors. When Yan Yao walked outside, a young and handsome blonde man had already stopped her elegantly, holding up a bouquet of roses and said, "Miss Yan, this is my gift, please accept it." "Mr. Charles, thank you for your kindness, but I am not the right person for it." Yan Yao smiled and refused, and finally drove away in her sports car, leaving behind a lonely stare. 12 minutes later, Yan Yao came online. In the medium-sized fortress, the level 90 Hell 3-headed dog Suman swayed his body and slowly walked out of the fortress. Online game DungeonMaster. Author, Buledin Lao Buledin Si Buledin Me. Chapter 187. "Sorry, I'm a little late." Yan Yao looked at the chaotic situation around her, apologized, and applied the buff effect. She moved very quickly, taking 7 seconds, and then immediately entered the battle. "How is the situation now?" she asked Shen Xian again. Shen Xian waved the blue sky defender and replied, "It can withstand it for now, but after a while, these 200 confused demons will die. But 30 hell dogs have already contributed 240,000 experience points. As long as they kill enough, it doesn't matter if they die." Odin agreed. The cooperation of masters often produces the effect of 1 + 1 greater than 2. The addition of Yan Yao makes the thrilling battle calmer and more comfortable. The right treatment and expulsion allow the fighters in the front to no longer worry about the passage of life. Next, the team eliminated 11 Hellhounds. There were fewer and fewer units left on the battlefield. Because the confused devils were really fragile, there were only more than 100 units left here. This stalemate is about to be broken. A deafening sound came from the depths of the fortress. A 3-headed hell dog with a height of more than 10 meters appeared in front of the team. It has level 90 elite strength, 300,000 health points and 7,000 attack points. If they can only face such a terrifying behemoth, they can still win. Hope, but what they faced was not one, but dozens of them, the 3-headed hell dog Suman and his offspring, and dozens of slightly smaller hell dogs. Everyone's expressions were solemn. Their strength was good, but the masters were self-aware. They were good at creating miracles and knew how to protect themselves. Everyone took a step back. In front, Suman breathed out a long stream of blazing flames, and several confused demons in front had a few numbers of 4,300 pop out of their heads and turned into charred corpses. "I wonder if we can retreat," Odin said something. "Retreat?" Where can we retreat? In the air, Frank asked doubtfully. He understood that as long as they dared to cross the restricted area of the sky, the Dark Overlord would tear them into pieces within a few seconds. Shen Xian said calmly, maybe. Won't the Dark Overseer kill us? I mean attacking, of course I can't protect these confused demons, but what about survival? Compared with the Hell Dogs, we are smaller in size. We only need to shuttle through their battle formations and we can easily reach the opposite side. Go to the chess piece that symbolizes the knight. This method seems to work. Aren't we going to face more enemies this way? We can go to other fortresses. As long as we get some rest and can join up with more troops, I don't believe we can defeat these Hell Dogs. Victor and Frank suddenly saw the light. They had heard before that the devils who participated in the game had to live or die, and only a handful of them could survive. However, when they discovered that the Lord's method did not seem to violate the rules, their hearts changed. Very excited. Possibility of living. How to do it? Escape, we need to spread out and escape. These Hell Dogs don't move very fast, but Suman is an exception. We need to be careful about it. At this point, everyone has an understanding of this survival plan. For NPCs with high AI, they will understand its meaning without even explaining it. If they continue to fight here, they will be completely wiped out. If they strategically shift to other places, they will have an extra chance of survival. Odin, Shen Xian, and Yan Yao moved at average speeds, Frank and Victor moved at higher speeds. The two devils took on the responsibility of attracting Suman and covering the others to leave. Suman suddenly became angry because dozens of Hell Devourers dared to challenge his majesty. Never let them go. Suman rushed forward, and the three huge heads breathed out flames, magma, and heat waves. The Hell Devourers who blocked him were instantly submerged in countless damage figures and turned into corpses. But he discovered two sneaky devils, quietly chased them, and attacked them. At this time, Shen Xian and the others quietly passed through the vicious Hell Dogs and arrived at the top of another rock. The gravity environment here was extremely weird and it took dozens of seconds to adapt. Although they were safe for the time being, they still suffered thousands of points of damage due to the aura of the Hell Dog. While detecting the surrounding crises, he walked towards the other end of the rock. Because of the huge size of the horse was fighting several fortresses at the same time. The situation is not satisfactory. Most of the fortresses without players or NPCs are empty. Apart from rubble, there are only corpses. There are patrolling Hell Dogs wandering in the wild. Occasionally they can take advantage, but most of the time they can only run away. It would be great if they could leave here, Shen Xian thought. As long as they can get the chess piece that symbolizes the king, who else can defeat them besides the opponent's king? Looking up at the dark warlords in the sky, he had the urge to strangle them to death. But knowing that was impossible, he felt it was still necessary to kill more. Korean player Zerg led more than 300 fallen demons to retreat to a small fortress. It must be said that he was lucky. When 100 Hell Dogs rushed over, he encountered more than 200 fallen demons that had escaped from other places. With the help of the evil aura belt with the pressure coming from him, he easily controlled these demons. Of course, as a player, there is only a 5% chance of getting to hell because of shit luck. Although a level 30 fallen demon hellhound only needed 5 hits to kill, he persisted with the intact fortress. In this kind of group battle, the character upgrades very quickly, and Zerg also knows how to make up for the blows and how to micromanage, so he upgraded to the next level in less than half an hour. He stood outside the fortress, with more than 100 fallen demons besieging less than 50 hellhounds. Feeling that he was about to give up, he decided to leave after getting this little experience, go home to burn some incense, worship Buddha and thank God for his gift, but found that dozens of fallen demons rushed over not far away. Unable to contain his excitement, thinking that he had a second burst of bad luck and got so many devils, Zerg really felt that he could buy a lottery ticket. However, his pride did not last long, and a huge dog head came over and swallowed him in one gulp. Online game DungeonMaster. Author, Buletin Lau Buletin Si Buletin Me. Chapter 188. Why do I hear someone screaming? Odin said, touching his head. You heard it wrong, are there players in this place? It's hard to get rid of Suman's pursuit, don't think too much. The team entered the fortress and found that there were more than 100 fallen demons in the fortress. They were all delighted. Yanyao and Victor mixed the summoned confused demons and fallen demons together, and then sat down to rest. But Suman would not give people a chance to breathe. He liked the feeling of his prey being in a state of panic. Therefore, after he devoured Zerg, his 3 dog heads launched an attack on this small fortress. Be careful, everyone prepare for battle. Shen Xian, who thought he might be able to fight this time, asked the demons to run out of the fortress quickly. Under Suman's attack, the fortress was shaking. If they stayed in it, something terrible might happen. It would be better to take the initiative to attack in a short period of more than 10 seconds. Mortal, you are angering me. This was Shen Xian's original intention. But he was not as unlucky as Zerg, who was swallowed directly by Suman, but endured his terrifying attack. Can you imagine a dog paw several meters in size falling from the sky? In just one move, his feet were hit deep into the rock, causing a full 2,800 damage. But the volley of the fallen demon and the confused demon also caused Suman to float more than 100 times in a few seconds, causing 110 damage. 5% of the health value. As long as such an attack is maintained, it will take less than a few minutes to defeat Suman. Don't underestimate the wisdom of the devil, even if it is a dog. The halo under Suman's feet immediately burned, 162 points/second, as long as it stood around him for more than 10 seconds, the warrior-type fallen demon would die. But Suman noticed that dozens of confused demons emerged from the city wall, and realized that something was wrong. He felt a sense of crisis, because he was chasing them, and he didn't bring many troops, so he wanted to retreat without cover at this time. For Shen Xian and Odin, these few seconds of thinking were enough. They used their skills as much as possible to attack him. Even if all the fallen demons under their feet were trampled to death by Suman, they would still win. The two used the devils as cannon fodder. They were cannon fodder. In hell, a war between lords could easily result in the loss of millions of troops. In this high-level world, life was the cheapest. So, Suman also began to use skills, but the skills of the Hellhound were not as rich as those of the players. They could delay the time of his fall, but could not stop his fate. Because they found several NPCs from the fortress and hid in the innermost part of the fortress. It is said that because they were abandoned by a player named Zerg, the NPC who wanted to survive joined the team. When Suman's health value dropped below 50%, his attack power suddenly increased. Even Shen Xian could not bear more than 5,000 damage at once. At this time, he would certainly not rush up to fight hard, but selectively fight. There were also several NPCs accidentally knocked away by Suman, but they had no relationship with Shen Xian, so there was no need to worry about whether they were dead or alive. Throughout the battlefield, Suman trampled countless units to death, but from a strategic point of view, Shen Xian was definitely the winner. Against larger units, climbing to the back and abdomen of the unit is a classic tactic. Several NPCs jumped behind Suman and easily stabbed the sharp blade into his body, causing 2,100 damage at once. But Suman would twist his body wildly, and it was not easy even if he climbed to his back. Suman was a little anxious. He wanted to leave here, but Count Kapilov would not forgive him. For those who retreated on the battlefield, they would receive a punishment more terrible than death. Suman's claws slapped the ground again and again, but at this time, Shen Xian and Odin were all consciously attacking in a low-key manner. Charge at this time. Don't want to live? Pieces of rock broke away from the surface and fell into the void. The fortress was in ruins, with broken walls and magma flames, forming a deadly Jedi. The buildings of the small fortress were crushed into powder, and the NPCs were all in a mess. They were too insignificant in front of such a perverted three-headed hellhound. This is the advantage of high AI. Su-Man is almost impossible to be killed by kite tactics and human wave tactics. What Shen Xian lacks is enough troops. As a pawn, he should have been completely destroyed in front of the horse. 3 minutes later, Su-Man was in a red blood state. With less than 25% remaining, he summoned overwhelming meteorites and storms. There were only a few level 30 demons left on the earth. He also caught several NPCs who didn't have time to escape and swallowed them in, trying to intimidate them and let them leave quickly. In this way, he was not retreating but pursuing. However, his defense was pitifully low when his attack power and attack speed skyrocketed. Odin attacked like crazy, and rows of 900 and 800 numbers popped up. The face of this three-headed hellhound actually showed a look of fear. Barbarian Warrior, a unique profession that can challenge opponents of higher levels when it bursts out, has the same characteristics as the Barbarian Berserker and the Orc Totem Warrior. Their attack speed at peak can reach 0.5 seconds, and they are also the best in terms of damage output. 1631 points/second DPS, Odin's damage output per second actually reached this terrifying number, and the extreme of the Barbarian Warrior was fully exerted by him. If players saw the scene with their own eyes, they would definitely record it as a video without hesitation as the ultimate teaching video of the Barbarian Warrior profession. However, let's turn our attention back to Shen Xian. What is he doing? Shen Xian slowly stabbed Su-Man's abdomen with one hand, and took out several magic scrolls from the package. Ice Ball. Withering. Corruption Storm. Wealthy. Shen Xian threw out 4 or 5 level 6 magic scrolls in a row without making a sound. In a short period of time, the 4-digit damage jumped wildly, from the original pitiful hundreds of damage per second to thousands. Odin's position as the first attack output was deprived. Damn! Why didn't you use it earlier? Odin cursed. Although he was unhappy that the Lord only used all his strength at this time, who expected the two sides to be open and honest at this time? Boom! Su-Man's dog head was smashed into pieces by the warhammer. When the health of the three-headed dog of hell was less than 10,000, both NPCs and players stared at it nervously. Vampire's Hand. A blood-red crystal ball in Yan Yao's hand shot out several chain-like energy beams, tightly encircling Su-Man's body, making his last resistance completely ineffective. Tip: get 198 health points and 132 magic points from the hell three-headed dog Su-Man. Tip: get 198 health points and 132 magic points from the hell three-headed dog Su-Man. At this time, Yan Yao's life and magic were restored quickly. This time Su-Man could no longer resist. Shen Xian finally counted the numbers silently and drank a bottle of powerful life potion. 3, 2, 1. Tip: Player Lord, Odin, Dabake killed the hell three-headed dog Su-Man and gained 104,000 experience. Coordinated kill. The effect of coordinated kill can only be triggered when the player's attacks arrive at the same time at a moment 0.1 seconds apart. In this case, all players participating in the coordinated kill can get the last 30% experience, but in the kingdom, the probability of this happening is extremely rare. Roar. Su-Man roared before his death. The two remaining dog heads howled to the sky and fell down with a step. 2 pieces of glittering equipment rolled out from the corpse, the lava cloak and the false mask, rare equipment of level 60. Lava cloak, rare, cloak, defense 55, constitution 170, spirit 90, charm 1, constitution enhancement 18%, fire resistance 15%, melee attack with 190 to 220 fire damage. False Mask, rare, head, defense 71, strength 50, agility 50, constitution 120, wisdom 380, spirit 160, magic enhancement 5%, magic recovery 3, skill wisdom aura, thinking aura. But the crisis has not been resolved. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lau Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 189. Interesting, I didn't expect this chess piece to last so long. Sherlock, you didn't cheat, did you? Count Kapilov's mental power swept across the sky, passing through hundreds of magnificent fortresses, revealing a faint smile. Do you think that a shadow dragon with noble character would do such a thing? Yes, how could the honest Sherlock deceive me? You don't mind if I destroy it? Kapilov's mental power locked onto the chess piece symbolizing the soldier. It only took a few seconds for this space to shatter and reorganize into nothingness. Sherlock screamed, "Destruction? How could you have such an idea? This is such a perfect work of art, after the baptism of war, the rendering of blood, the carving of the soul. This is my collection, I don't want you to destroy it. Since you don't want us to continue. There are still 11 steps." The team members resting in the fortress did not realize that a crisis had passed by. For them, these things were too far away. After resting for more than 10 minutes, they left here, because through the investigation of the magic eye, they learned that there were still a large number of hellhounds on the horse chess piece. It was impossible to destroy them. They could only fight around and delay as much as possible. Wandering on the desolate rocks, the destroyed small fortresses fell into pieces with the large rocks supporting them and fell into the bottom of the endless hell. Fortunately, they did not stop, and Sherlock made another move. Elephant. This fortress is countless times more magnificent than a small fortress. The entire rock of several kilometers in size has been transformed into towers and walls. Several spires stand tall. Against the backdrop of the crimson sky, the elephant looks extremely hideous and terrifying. Just like those weird castles in the Middle Ages where witches and werewolves haunt, it will make people weak at the bottom of their feet. The elephant crossed hundreds of kilometers along the diagonal direction. This is the rule of chess. However, in the eyes of real chess players, the chess played by Sherlock and Kapilov is not the real chess. It is a product of the myth group after revision, and it has changed a lot. Around, the storm blew up. The terrifying force howling at a height of hundreds of meters will push the weak to the underground of death. For the team, it has become more difficult for them to walk on horseback. Tip: affected by the void storm, the movement speed is reduced by 30%. Did the Dark Guards not notice us? How should I know? As you know, Lord, the dragons love to play tricks. I can't guess their thoughts. While speaking, Odin was still upset about not getting the lava cloak and false mask. Why do you roll the points? I will definitely roll 6 next time. The rolling points method Odin mentioned is a way of allocating items that adventurers who are not familiar with it use, comparing size. Use a dice to divide the size. The big one can get what you want, and the small one can fight for the next one. Let the goddess of luck decide everything. The footprints quickly passed half of the rock. Here you can see the whole picture of the southern battlefield. When Victor cast the magic eye, it was suspended high in the sky, and the scene in front of him was unobstructed. Victor shouted, "That's the elephant. There are 10,000 level 90 big devils stationed there." After speaking, the team members thought that as long as they went to the elephant, they would be safe. As the garrison, the fallen devils could not move around, but they did not need to abide by this rule. The elephant approached. From the top of the spire, you can see several huge demon eyes burning with flames. These demon eyes are tens of meters in diameter and can release advanced spells such as Death Rays and Lightning Chains, which are immune to most attacks. When the spire under its feet has not collapsed, these demon eyes are invincible. A few kilometers apart, more than a dozen spires fired in unison like artillery, and hundreds of bright lights that can replace the darkness of hell bombarded the rocky ground. The ground under their feet continued to shake and sway, and they were even worried that by that time the rock's restraint on them would completely disappear, and then they would reach the bottom of hell and enjoy a feast of death. "Don't they know that there are still people here?" Odin complained, but his body was lying on the ground, and he regarded life as extremely important. "Damn it, be careful not to let the hellhounds get close, otherwise we will be buried with them." The few remaining NPCs concealed their whereabouts. It was not wise to clash with the hellhounds at this time. Who knows if the big devil on the elephant will attack them? Now it is not even certain whether the elephant will land, and all the players are watching the scene anxiously, looking forward to the elephant's landing. Boom. If you want to describe the appearance of the elephant attacking, it feels like the magnificent scene of thousands of cannons firing at each other when interstellar battleships are shooting at each other in science fiction novels. In this era, the human space dream has just established small bases on the Moon and Mars, so this kind of thing only exists in novels and can only be imagined. However, the flying dust and the huge rocks that are scattered are real. The spacious fortress designed and built for the three-headed dog of hell, Hegel, was wiped off the map. Hegel rushed out angrily. He did not find the team not far away. After killing Suman, there were not many of them left, and the target was not big. The horse, which had been invincible in the face of soldiers, lost its resistance in front of the elephant, just like a flower thief who encountered a female devil who practiced the art of collecting yang and replenishing yin. It was defeated and stripped of its armor. The hellhounds fell to the ground one after another. Shenxian, Odin, and Yanya wished they could rush up and take away all their fallen items. It was a pile of equipment like a small mountain. As a lord, especially a lord with a strong sense of economy, how could he bear to give it up? After the volley, the chess piece symbolizing the elephant continued to approach, and the two rocks slowly stuck together, completing the historic docking. Only one step away from entering the elephant. Be patient, don't be impulsive. As the first real team activity of the Ogre House, we need to make everything perfect. Everyone has witnessed the previous battle. The Devil's Game has attracted many high-end players as a unique regional mission. Whether intentionally or unintentionally, we encountered foot_U0026 ball in the BZTP rankings. The Sudra in India is a pig, and the Matamata in New Zealand also suffered a little loss. As the old saying goes, it is a great virtue to know one's mistakes and correct them. I don't want everyone to lose everything here because of repeated mistakes. Then, no more nonsense, everyone get ready, the battle will start soon. With the cooperation of 10,000 big devils, what we have to do is not output, but to make up for it, understand? 30% of the experience, don't let me go. The steel fence over 20 meters high slowly rose, and the red and black intertwined devil wave rushed over. Online game DungeonMaster. Author, Buledin Lau Buledin Si Buledin Me. Chapter 190. On the burning ground, the big devil waved his two-headed sickle and let out a triumphant cry. His ordinary attacks were accompanied by 5 negative states, such as curse, desecration, and corruption, which nailed the hellhounds to the ground. The damage of 3 to 4,000, the 11 types of spells he mastered, and the big desecration spell with a 24-hour release interval laid the foundation for the elephant's victory. In the face of absolute strength, the resistance of the three-headed hellhound Hegel was so weak that he fell to the ground after barely killing 3 or 4 big devils. This kind of scene is common in hell. As a senior player, Shenxian and his friends can only appreciate it silently. Following the big devil, Several burly figures appeared. Ogre. The most obvious one is the mutant ogre with 2 heads. They are not the natives of Hell, but only NPCs or players from the underground world. The 2-headed ogre is a warlock, but he holds a shield on his chest that only warriors can use. The shield is about 1 person tall, comparable to the tower shield equipped by heavy infantry, which reminds Shen Xian of a familiar guy. Could it be the New York soldiers, he thought suspiciously. Logically speaking, the chances of meeting in such a high-level place are small, but during large-scale missions, high-end players always flock to it like moths. The private chat connection is successfully opened. Shen Xian is very happy that he is allowed to chat privately with the New York soldiers at this time. Where are you? Alaska, what can I do for you? I mean in the game. Well, hell. Okay, we are in the same camp, that's easy to talk about. What chess mission are you participating in? How do you know? The New York soldier was surprised. Could it be that the sneaky person is you? Why do I feel like it's a dwarf? That is Odin, my comrade. We are unfortunate to become soldiers, but we are not as lucky as you. I understand. This mission is special. Because it is a regional mission, the backgrounds of the players who are guided here must be different. You just need to stay there. As adventurers like us, we have the mark of Sherlock on our bodies, but not the mark of chess pieces. No one can tell which chess piece we belong to. The New York soldier is the one who really came into contact with this mission. He learned a lot of information and knew the rules of gambling very well. Then, how can the chess game be a game of life and death in the eyes of adventurers? He explained, when a chess piece fails in a duel, the Lord has the right to destroy it, including the creature on it, so adventurers are often directly executed by the Lord, but this time is a little different. Sherlock did not destroy your chess piece. I am very curious, what did you do that the 2 lords did not destroy you? In short, adventurers are luckier than the army, and players are luckier than NPCs. We can die countless times without limit, which is our biggest advantage. In the game, in this situation, players cannot avoid the fate of death by going offline, but the punishment of death is still not comparable to that of NPCs, eternal disappearance. For players, how can they not challenge such an opportunity to quickly upgrade? Next, Shen Xian and others join the New York soldiers. The first step to join this team is to rest. In the previous battle, they were all in a half-blood empty demon state, and they could only recover with the assistance of Yan Yao's healing technique. However, the speed of the big devil harvesting lives is so fast that Shen Xian had to start before he was fully recovered. I regret letting you join. I originally estimated that this attack would get at least 700,000 experience points on average. Now it seems that at least half of it will be shared by you. The New York soldier smiled bitterly. Shen Xian and Odin are both world-class players, both in singles and development. They are all-rounders. Although the Ogre House is also very strong, they cannot be compared with them in terms of personal strength. The attack of the elephant was positioned as the 3rd and 4th attacks. The 100 big devils that went out in the 3rd attack destroyed 2 fortresses of the Hellhounds. Shen Xian, who was mixed in the army, gained 180,000 experience points. The 4th attack, 210,000 experience points. So he successfully accumulated the 1.3 million experience points required for the upgrade, and he upgraded to level 61. For Odin, the experience points he needed to upgrade were as high as 3 million, not as fast as Shen Xian. The only difference is that after joining the elephant, he could not command this group of big devils. For Shen Xian, his leveling plan can be completed without big devils. The 2 sides played chess step by step. There were lives falling all the time on the huge battlefield. From the New York soldiers, we learned that this chess game would only last 12 moves a day. It would take a long time to finish it. This means that they will have a chance to rest in the middle. Adventurers can go to the Dark Dragon City to replenish their supplies when participating in this game. This is undoubtedly a blessing for Shen Xian who survived the soldiers. Through the task item Relay Crystal, they can leave here during the short pause of the chess game. They cannot give up. Unless they die, they will be teleported back after a fixed time. At this time, the fifth task prompt, that is, the attack of the fallen Lord Ansiudala, is about to begin. The hall symbolizing the car, with blood-red twisted ground painted with deformed moving eyeballs, and dark purple crystal lights alternating between light and dark. There was nothing on the top of the hall, connected to the dark and deep sky, forming a rotating vortex of the sea of clouds, where the movement of countless planets and the flow of halos could be seen. When Sherlock pushed the elephant to the front of the car, the 120-level fallen Lord Ansiudar had already understood his fate. At 2031, 75 level 90 judgment demons stationed at the front of the fortress were eliminated. At 2042, 400 level 60 hellhounds ambushed in the tower inside the fortress were cleansed. At 2109, 60 semi-elite level 90 judgment demons at the entrance of the competition hall were eliminated. The magic forged gate with a health value of 60,000 fell down with a bang, and the dust was dispersed, and a tidal army appeared in front of it.